If anybody gets out of that, I think you have given me the power to deal with them. So without wasting time, Dr. Patrick Omutia for the first group on productivity. Karibu. Don't take more than 5 minutes, and remember those 3 themes.
His Excellency, the Deputy President, and all protocols observed. Due to the short and limited time, I go straight. I only have 5 minutes to condense everything. First of all, our group was assigned productivity. The first thing we did was to amend that to read production and productivity, because productivity is a relative term. It means doing more with less, which is a ratio. And production is a quantitative absolute term, which means increasing output over time. So ours should now read productivity and production. Now, out of all this, we just settled on one broad issue, that the problem affecting productivity and production is simply the drastic reduction of production. That now, what we are producing currently is the same output we had in 1963, 60 years ago. Because in 1963, the output was 45,000 metric tons. We came to an all-time high in 1988 as 129, almost 130. But now we dropped down to about 40 or 50 again, which is about only 30% or a 70% drop from the all-time high. We have gone back 60 years ago. So for that single problem, we summarized 14 basic causes. And the solutions will come out of a re-engineering, a reverse engineering of those causes. The first cause is that our farmers have been having low return, and therefore when you have low return, there is no incentive to invest. You work so hard and get so little. The second one was reduced acreage. Because of the same first reason, we now have lesser land under coffee. And related to that, and the most fundamental and serious problem, is that we have an absence of management capital in the country as a whole. Because the ILO in 2021, in its survey, confirmed that our productivity is 150 out of 163 worldwide. And in Africa, we are number 25 out of 53. With that being the average, it is the reason why also productivity in coffee is as low as it is. We had 4, then we are doing 2, which means 50% drop. And that must be reversed. Then we have the issue of aged farmer population. People are getting tired, yet they are doing a very productive thing. It is not sustainable. The next one is aged cropping. We are told that our average crop is 20 years. In Colombia, good example, 6 years. That must change. We have the high cost of inputs. I need not elaborate that. Then use of substandard inputs such as pesticide, seedling. We are told some seedlings will be rotating in a pro box, yet we are supposed to get it from accredited institutions, and even fertilizer. Then we have also the problem of confronting the climate change risks. You all know what climate change brings. It alters the climate on which the coffee was used to grow. So we have to adapt to it. The other one, we have lack of affordable credit, and that was confirmed in the behavior of the other fund. Delayed payment to farmers. When it is delayed, you are given example in Meru that when you do dairy, you get money pap. You do tea, you get money. When you are on coffee, you are not sure when you are going to get. That must change. Then we have the issue of insufficient extension services. And this we are told, both numbers, the age of the extension officers, and even their capability, they need retooling. The next issue is that we have poor adaptation of sound crop husbandry practices and low use of technology. Then we have also a problem of low investment and poor management of research institutions. In fact, our foundation of whatever research is literally stuck. When the funding was removed, it was reduced, they stopped to operate. So therefore, we don't have new varieties of coffee. Just like we have thousands in our neighbor Ethiopia, us we are only having 6 varieties running. Then the last issue is inadequate support at both levels of government, hence ineffective regulation and poor service delivery to farmers. With those 14 problems, as I said, the solutions is reversing that, but I would go straight to elaborating some of them. The first one is that we need to adopt what I would call a Kenyan version of management technologies, which is quite different from technical skills. That's the culture of productivity. This is why our neighbor, Ethiopia, has overtaken us. In 2011, through the initiative of the former Prime Minister Zenawi, he adopted Japanese type of Kaizen, which has helped change the productivity culture. That's why there is more flower farming that side, upholstery, and so on. Now, other issues that we have talked about, radical changes. For example, we are saying that when it comes to the issue of extension workers, instead of babysitting them, say, oh, let county government do this and that, we are suggesting radical issues. The first one is that we need to reverse the decision about the levy. Let the levy be restored. And through the levy, we shall finance research, and this research will go to the extension officers should be placed under the cooperatives, and which means that the county government can second this staff to the cooperatives, let them be managed and financed. Their farmers can pay for them. That is the way to improve, and national government can capacity build them to that extent. The other issues that we talked about is that to increase money to the farmer, other than the coffee alone, they should do diversification. For example, we have bracharia grass which can grow in between, and that can be fodder for dairy, the cattle, and so on. So with diversification, you improve your income portfolio. The other issue that is my time up? Oh, then all that we need to mind that the problems you had, we do the reverse of them, and we are done. Thank you for my attention.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Now we have Esther Kariuki to bring us something on coffee financing and profitability.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, and the delegates present. We looked at the issue of coffee financing and profitability, and we decided to look at it across the entire value chain. We wanted to focus on financing every level of production of coffee. The first problem we identified was liquidity problems by the farmers. The other problem that we identified was multiple and uncoordinated sources of funding and financing, the high cost of inputs, and low prices of our coffee. So we proposed some of the ways our recommendations was amend the law to expand the scope and allow easy and unconditional access to funds by the farmers. The team proposed that we would consolidate a lot of this coffee financing into one fund that would take care of the entire cycle of the coffee value chain, all the way from establishment of farms, purchase of farms, establishment of coffee, husbandry, inputs, harvesting and post-harvest, all the way to the market. We also said that counties should come up with a fund, like what we have done with the county value addition units, where the national government is setting up funding and the counties are matching. We also proposed that the farmers themselves to also support the production process through their cooperatives and their circles by establishing funds. So if all those issues are brought together, and also the counties to come up with a framework for attracting funding from private sector into that space. The other level was to address the issue of multiple and uncoordinated funding. I've said it, we said we consolidate all our funds. High cost of inputs, farmers to come together, instead of splitting, to come together and aggregate themselves to increase their bargaining power in negotiating for high quality inputs and also lower prices. Farmers also to increase production at their level, because it doesn't matter how much you're paid, if your kilos are few, you will still not make money. The next level of financing is at the cooperative level. Here the main issue was governance. It's difficult to finance, and governance is also eating into the profitability of the farmer. Modernization of their processing, aggregating of our coffees, all these issues we determined that they're affecting financing and profitability, and how to cap that is to promote and enhance good governance, come up with minimum thresholds for what the cooperative should take from the farmer, leverage on technology for increased productivity, design a framework for growth of Kenyan coffee to encourage good agricultural practices, and entrench SOPs in the governance of the cooperatives. Here the team felt that there are leaders that are elected, but they never help the farmers in the farms with even just helping them to do the right thing in the farm. Milling level, high levels of milling losses was identified, poor financing arrangements, poor warehousing and storage facilities, and indebtedness of our mills. And here what we needed, the recommendations we gave was to reduce our milling losses, proper grading of our coffee, standard warehouse and storage to avoid degradation of our coffee quality. And lastly, the issue of marketing came up. Here the issue was simple. What is eating our farmers' profitability and affecting the financing arrangement is so many middlemen. And we proposed that farmers to have direct access to the market, to aggregate our coffee to increase our bargaining power, separation between specialty and commodity markets, and also branding our coffee along the value chain. And if these issues are addressed, Your Excellency, the team felt that coffee financing and profitability will be manageable and practical. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. We now have Honorable Geoffrey Wandeto to present on marketing.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, all protocols observed. I represent the marketing thematic area, and we had a very robust conversation, and one of the things that came out clear is that our farmers really understand and know what they want. It is only us letting them down at the implementation stage. We came up with a number of points, and I will just go through them very quickly. The first one is we need to establish a minimum guaranteed returns, what they are calling a reserve price. And we even went ahead to propose $1.20 as a minimum, in excluding the cost of production. Number two, we proposed to establish a coffee price stabilization fund to cushion farmers in the event of drastic price fluctuations. It is also, lends itself to the minimum guaranteed returns. Number three, to have a prompt payment of coffee, to farmers. There is no reason that a farmer should wait for 7 months to get his money. In almost all the other commodities, they are paid at least either at the farm gate or at least within 30 days. Number four, to provide a price risk management mechanism to deal with prevalent price volatility. And number five, we recommended direct sales of coffee to basically shorten the value chain. And we have said, let us have a parallel system. Direct, and those who want to go through indirect, they should also be allowed. So kind of liberalize the market so that the farmer can choose the model that best works for him. We also recommended that we identify 5 major trading countries. Where do we think, who are our biggest coffee trading partner? And basically open warehouses there so that we can be able to store our coffee for ease of access to market. We also agree that our legislators be empowered to get better understanding of the international coffee markets. And here we have agreed with Honorable Farah Marim that he's going on our behalf to engage the Speaker to ensure that this becomes, some funds are availed so that legislators who have coffee issues can be able to fully travel and understand the coffee market, together with the other stakeholders. We also say that we need to introduce legislation to ensure coffee is paid in dollars and not Kenya shillings, basically to protect farmers from coffee, the price fluctuations. Aggregation and selling of coffee in parchment to benefit from the economies of scale, because we said today every small factory is running its own operations, thinking about its own security, thinking about its own operation, and that becomes expensive. If you were to aggregate all our coffee, warehouse it in a centralized way, we would basically benefit from the economies of scale. In terms of branding, we are saying we need to empower the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency and give them the funds to create a strong Kenya coffee brand. Once your branding is strong out there, it will be easy to basically attract market and also be easy to attract better prices. We would have also proposed that we revive and fund the Coffee Board of Kenya. This was a very important agency that was let to go down, and it is very, very important that we fund it, because this is the one that will have capacity building to deal with this complex international market as far as coffee is concerned. The job that we are saying currently has been left to the cartels. To promote Kenyan coffee internationally through joint industry initiatives to create and execute a global marketing agency by involving stakeholders such as growers, leading retailers, roasters, have even brand ambassadors like our athletes. Our athletes are blooded Nike and the rest. Why can't they be branded something to do with Kenyan coffee? Ensure that our embassies out there are basically have very, very clear KPIs, especially the ones that are in the big market. They have very, very clear KPIs as far as coffee promotion is concerned. And basically leverage on all these other things that we do, athletics and the rest, to basically promote Kenyan coffee. We also recommend restructuring and strengthening of the Nairobi Coffee Exchange to enhance accountability. And we also welcome having parallel exchanges. I know CS Kuria talked about the Kenya Commodity Exchange. It is something we welcome, so that the farmer does not have only one channel, which then becomes a single point of failure. Let us add, other alternative methods where the farmer can take, his coffee. Review laws to eliminate this cross-ownership that allows one to become a miller, a marketer, an auctioneer, etc. And I think we discussed at length that yesterday, and I know the CS said he is going to sort that out. Develop legislative system to build direct relationship between growers and consumers to ensure traceability and transparency for better returns and improved livelihoods. Develop a code of ethics for these marketers. Review the current model of coffee marketing to encourage local coffee roasting, consumption, and promote and establish coffee shops. And also, borrowing from what the Deputy President said, why can't we promote coffee consumption in schools, in government meetings, wherever we go, we ensure that coffee is also available. Lastly, reinstate the grower marketer license to also include the selling of coffee. So we are saying these growers, let us allow them to basically deal with their coffee. Coffee is over-legislated, and that is why it has so many bottlenecks in the value chain. And the really final one is consider locally manufactured bags. We are told that even bags There are specific bags that have to be imported, and we also need to ask that we can zero rate those bags to reduce the cost of production. That is basically what we came up with as a marketing stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I was just being reminded that wakati mnatembea ngambo, mbebe wakulima angalau hata kwa sanduku. So don't forget that, honorable members. Now we have value addition and partnerships. The first part will be presented by Regina Mwangi for 3 minutes. And then your colleague is going to take over from there. So Regina, for value addition, and then a partner of yours is going to talk about partnerships. So, Mheshimiwa Farah Maalim, kwa sanduku zenu muwe na nafasi ya kubeba wakulima. Please.
So, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and all protocols observed, good afternoon. Our topic was value addition and partnership number 4, and I'm going to discuss part 1 of value addition and partnerships. So, what to start doing? I'll start by saying that Kenya should blend its coffee as naturally sun-dried and seek additional premium on price on account of this investment that contributes towards more healthy food, sustainability, and environment management. So sun-drying saves Kenyans a lot of electricity consumption as well as use of fossil fuels to generate electricity, and this has positive impact on the environment and should contribute to carbon credits for the coffee sector in Kenya. So reduced greenhouse emissions helps to stem climate change. So what we should we should start doing, number 1, because of what I have read, pulping stations should adopt wet processing or eco-pulpers where applicable, because eco-pulpers are saving us on water, and primary processing, as we are used to be doing, where we start from receiving the coffee shell from the farm, then we get to the shell hopper, pulping, fermentation, washing and drying, and washing and grading, and finally we dry our coffee. So we should at least provide the eco-pulpers to those people who have shortage of water. Number 2, use of sun drying, and this will include greenhouses, that is more cost-effective and ensure quality of the coffee beans. For sure, from a retailer's point of view, when you cup coffees that is sun-dried and another one that is dried using electricity, the 2 different coffees have different coffee flavors, and they have different classes. So, number 3, you differentiate the markets. That is, Kenya coffee market is based on specialty, and however, the government, to explore more markets to enable farmers, use other methods of processing, which include, for example, anaerobic, which is a coffee processing method where coffee is fermented in pressurized sealed tanks deprived of oxygen. This one helps the coffee to produce what we call some distinct acids like lactic acids that improves the coffee profile of that, the coffee profile. So number 4, modernize the drying bed by using metallic drying beds. Most of our factories, that is the wet mills, they use wooden drying beds, and when you are drying the coffee, what happens is that the nets, they sag at the center. So, and we need even drying of this coffee. So we need the metallic drying beds together with the wire mesh and the shade nets to dry our coffee. What we need to stop doing, number 1, is exclusion of women and youth from participation in creating value in the coffee value chain. And I'm happy I'm a woman, so I'm not excluded. Number 2, farmers losing their proprietary rights in their coffee before it is sold and coffee sales proceeds received. This is what has been happening, and this is what we would recommend it stop. What to continue doing, promoting value addition and branding Kenya as a production and trading center for specialty coffee. This is by wet processing or use of fermentation to remove the mucilage. And number 2, use of ecopulpers to lower the cost. Number 3 is what we call good harvesting practices. And I would also recommend GAP, that is a good agricultural practices, GPP, good processing practices, and GMP, good manufacturing practices, and also GHP, that is good hygienic practices. Then, let me talk just 1 minute on partnership. We should explore the partnership between the national, county governments, and local millers and cooperatives to establish coffee centers in institutions of higher learning, that is universities or other learning of like TVET institutions or towns. This one will encourage or will promote the local coffee consumption. Number 2, we can also partner with like people like tours and travel agencies, and this one will promote what we call coffee tourism. I had somebody asking yesterday about coffee tourism, and I'll give just one example. In the university where I work, the Dan Kimathi University of Technology, we have collaborated with these agencies, and when the tourists come to Kenya, they bring them to the university, and they are taken through the whole coffee value chain. And also in partnership, we have, for example, we have partnered with Mokoroine Daily, where we provide extracts for the coffee so that they can be able to manufacture yogurt flavored, coffee flavored yogurt. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, all protocols observed. I was the moderator of this group doing value addition and partnerships. I have 0 minutes remaining, but let me try. This is more of an interjection because we had a question or a sentence. Cash payment for coffee parchment. And this is coming from the benchmark study of Colombia, where farmers deliver parchment and then they are paid. But the question is, our farmers deliver what? Deliver the cherry. So we're trying to look at that and say, okay, fine. Since the farmers own the cooperative society and it produces a parchment, then there's a possibility that if we can have a capacity created at that level, they're able to do the grading of this parchment, maybe using the cap quality, and have some level of evaluation and have whoever is taking up this as a miller, even if it's a union, they buy this. But then if it's a union, then it also needs some empowerment, maybe some funds where they can use this. Alternatively, is maybe through financial institutions. After this has been graded, the farmer are able to access some credit, is paid to corporate societies, and this money is disputed. Then when the final clean coffee is paid, then they can be able to deduct that amount. Now, what we also need to do is, of course, the other things have been said, so I'll not say the issue of encouraging the local roasting in universities. Now, what to stop doing is to lengthen the process, and then also unnecessary overheads, maybe at a cooperative level. We need efficiency. Yesterday, people were talking about governance. And then millers and marketers to stop lending money to cooperatives due to conflict of interest, maybe if it's unregulated. That's what we are talking about. And then what to continue doing, of course, the two marketing models, the selling of clean coffee should be encouraged, and it should be efficient. And the other one is a cherry advance. I think it should be strengthened so that farmer can tap into that to get immediate cash. And the last point is to continue empowering farmers to access the market. You heard that over 11 coffee unions on brokers have been licensed, and Kirinyaga needs a license. So I think we are going to work with relevant agencies to work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can have Dr. Eliud Kireger to talk about quality.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, all protocols observed. I'm presenting on behalf of the quality team, and to be able to make the recommendations that I'm going to read, we looked at the factors that affect the quality of coffee, which range from production, management of the crop in the farm, transportation, pulping, drying, milling and warehousing, roasting and packaging. And we have made the following recommendations to ensure the quality of coffee. The first one is strengthen Coffee Research Institute through adequate funding to ensure they produce quality planting material, to ensure that they develop good agricultural practices, and to ensure that they train the extension workers who work with the farmers. Number two is to embrace technology to enhance the quality of coffee processing, digitize the coffee value chain to enable traceability, enhance education and training by investing in personnel and capacity development, establish a quality assurance framework for coffee farm inputs, create a common user facility, especially at the industrial and aggregation parks, establish a coffee quality regulatory framework, promote and regulate coffee certification and verification systems, development of intellectual property rights for coffee producers in Kenya, strengthen Pest Control Products Board to ensure the quality of the pesticides that are used by the farmers, capacity build the farmers on coffee market requirements, especially on the maximum residue levels that are allowable in those markets, because that's what's affecting them so much. Production of packaging materials locally, and establishment of a coffee school to train both extension workers, farmers, and also those people working in the cooperatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kirega. We now have the farmer co-ops and estates being presented by Vincent Marango. Karibu.
Thank you, Excellency. I was moderating the team of farmers, both from cooperatives and the estates, focusing on the critical role of cooperatives, how to strengthen them, and also the challenges facing them together with the estate farmers. There are a number of recommendations, but I'll go straight to what to start doing. The farmers want to rehabilitate and revamp their primary cooperative societies, infrastructure improvement. They want to adopt new and emerging technologies at the pulping stations. They want to increase coffee production from an average of 2 kgs per tree to 10 kgs. They want to promote coffee drinking at our homes and community. They want to have proper farm management extension services. They want to enhance effective communication and transparency on government policies to their members. They want to conduct intergenerational mentorship and training to facilitate transfer of skills through model farmers like Mukarimu. To conduct soil sampling by introducing promoters in their coffee cooperatives. They want government to enhance the pest control board capacity to regulate the type of pesticides used to issue, and also they will be issuing circulars on approved pesticides to their members. Coffee societies want to ensure that coffee is milled and marketed by their own entities, that is their own mills and brokerage companies that they have registered. Both society and estate farmers want to utilize available new KPCU warehouses for economies of scale. They were requesting to return KPCU to the farmers. They want government to enhance security and place heavy penalties for coffee theft. They want to enhance collaboration of farmers. And then coffee unions are committed to employing extension officers and agronomists. And then they want to merge small and unviable societies to achieve economies of scale. They will actually support the coffee census and clean up their coffee registers. To adhere to the 1/3 rule on rotational retirement, put in place mechanism to punish and discipline errant officials in coffee societies. They want to support advocacy for farmer institutions like KPCU, training of elected officials. Estate farmers want to start to aggregate together as a group, also borrowing from the cooperative model. The Coffee Estate and Processing Association, SEPA, want to create their national marketing arm, and they want also to enhance capacity building of those affiliated to them. In terms of, SEPA also want to be recognized as a body under the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. What to stop doing? Use of old methods of coffee farming, reliance on old coffee bushes, intercropping of other crops with coffee, change of attitude that coffee has no money, operating only a Kenya shilling account. They want to open US dollars accounts, to consider coffee farming as a business. They want hawking of coffee to be prohibited strictly, and licensing of those buyers be prohibited by the county government. They want to also stop the splitting of society. They want to stop splitting of societies into unviable units, and also overborrowing. What to continue doing? They are committed to continue doing good agricultural practices. They want to continue encouraging the youth to take up coffee farming, encourage transitions by educating and creating awareness and allocating youth with bushes to manage. Your Excellency, some of the old farmers in that group said that they will start by way of example, and they are going to allocate their young men and ladies, women, coffee bushes. They want to strictly adhere to the annual budgets, implement demand-driven borrowing to avoid the overborrowing. They want to share market information with farmers for transparency. They promote proper record keeping among their members, involve the legal advice of lawyers when executing agreements and contracts with players. And finally, to ensure contracts are available for members for scrutiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Umesikia wamesema no intercropping, na wenzetu wengine wamesema maybe tukipanda tunyasi kidogo hapo katikati, it can be thought of. So we'll think about that. So for institutions, policy and governance, we have Ben Kiplimo Lagat. Karibu.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am presenting on behalf of the 7th thematic group. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Kiplimo Arap Lagat. Ben Cheboy was my financier, so he called me Ben still. And I am the CC in charge of Agriculture and Cooperatives, County Government of Nandi. And Excellency, I am also the chair of the Agriculture Caucus of all county CCs. We captured our issues in 3 sub-thematic areas: on institutional issues, policy and legal issues, and governance issues. And I believe the critical mandate for all of us who are here today will actually be lying largely on this particular thematic area, because this is where we are mandated to do. So on institutional issues, we considered a number of institutions that are actually acting in the sector. We considered the ministries, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Cooperative and MSMEs, even including the agencies, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the rest. And we said that issues bedeviling the sector includes the institutional inflation, where you have a lot of institutions that have conflicting mandates and responsibilities. There is no coherence and coordination and collaboration among the institutions in this particular subsector. So there is need to streamline the mandates of the institutions and agencies through the policy and enactment of legislation. So, and stop duplicating roles and conflicting mandates to facilitate the growth of the sector. We should also continue collaboration and partnership to create synergy and cohesion in service delivery. We also noted that there is lack of one-stop shop coffee regulator and we said that there should be fast tracking of enactment of the coffee board, which will establish the coffee board of Kenya. And this will give us one-stop shop regulator that can guide and grow the sector. We also noted that there is lack of marketing and promotion of coffee, of locally and both locally and internationally, and institutions that are tasked to do this. Once you enhance the cohesion and coordination, you should be able to allow this to function very well. And we said that the coordination between all agencies involved in promotion of the Kenyan coffee should be enhanced. For example, you have Keproba, you have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the rest, and you have commercial attaches, and I think this was mentioned yesterday. We noted that if you go to foreign countries, actually, you cannot see the Kenyan presence in promoting coffee. Ethiopians, if you attend to any of their events, there is cupping of their coffee in any of the events. Why can't we have those foreign agencies even establishing the promotion units? And I think I will agree with the presenter who was here, Mheshimiwa, that we must give them a clear KPIs, both the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Trade, and the rest, that is in line with what we actually want to achieve as a country in this particular subsector. We also noted the restructuring of farmer organizations, the need, and this requires us to agree, because we've noted that there are a lot of farmer federations mushrooming. Why? It's because there is no law to guide this. We must have one farmer federation at the national. You have probably one coffee union at the county. Then you have the other primary cooperatives probably at the ward or at the village level, whatever it may be. But it should be very clearly regulated so that you don't have different agencies trying to regulate, to advocate for farmers. The other thing we noted, of course, and I think that has been mentioned under quality, was the CRI funding to be increased, adequate funding. For policy legal issues, we said that there is need to harmonize policies between national and county governments. We've noted there is that conflict where you don't know who is licensing. So once the act is enacted, we are very confident that this will be streamlined so that it's very clear in terms of licensing and regulation. There is also need to increase budgetary allocation, and I think this goes to counties. We have noted there is a big challenge with extension service. Human resource capacity building, and I think CRI and the rest of the institutions that need to be tasked should be, because we noted that HR, both for the cooperatives, for the farmers in terms of extension service, need to be strengthened and capacity built. The critical issue which Your Excellency, you brought it strongly yourself, is about the debts by these institutions. And we noted that there is need to assess, audit, and establish the indebtedness of value chain actors. The cooperatives mostly, and that we must identify the debt levels carried forward by successive cooperative management, create a risk protection mechanism to protect farmers from losses incurred from the debt because of the interests, build safeguards to ensure good governance and debt management sustainability. Under the governance, we noted that there is need to strengthen the farmer participation along the value chain all through. Delays in payments, and we noted that there is need to fast track the implementation of the direct settlement scheme to allow farmers to get paid on time. Losses incurred from misappropriation of assets and funds, enforcement of misappropriation. We noted that there are existing laws and legal frameworks that actually should stop this, but there is need to strengthen the prosecution and even enforcing those particular individuals that misappropriate funds in the cooperatives. We noted also that to strengthen this, there is need for strengthening the democratic principles within the cooperatives and inclusion of these legislations should actually facilitate farmers to ensure that there is that strong democratic principles within the cooperative movement, whereby elections must be done in adherence to the bylaws that have been developed. No individual should be actually elected if they have borrowed from the cooperative and they have not repaid. There is no point of having somebody to lead when they are the one perpetuating the misappropriation of the cooperatives. And we said that there is probably need to borrow from the international principles of governance where you build succession. You can have a person elected today sitting in the board, but also in the subsequent years, you actually build a succession within the cooperatives. Last but not least is corruption among cooperative officials, and we noted the conflict of interest and the proposal to strengthen this part by, of course, continuing to enforce the behavior in the sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kiplimo. No doubt, Your Excellency, that has been a good conclusion to the business that has been at hand. Your Excellency, when we come kwa masomo, saa zingine tunataka tutoke na certificate. Sijui kama consensus, mnataka certificate? Yes, Your Excellency, kuna msemo, unajua kuna hawa umbwa, hawa wenye natapatapa kwa mtaa, ambao wengine tunaita mbwa koko, lakini watoto wetu wanawaita dogi. Sasa hawa umbwa, you contrast them na hawa wa polisi, ambao wanachanuliwa nywele, masikio imesimama mzuri, hata makucha inatengenezwa. Sasa hawa wa polisi saa zile wanakuja town patrol wakiwa na askari hao na wamechanuka vizuri sana. Hawa wa mtaa au mbwa wa mtaa wanasimama kando wakisema hao ni wenzetu wale wamesoma. So nafikiri leo hii kisomo tumepata, even if you don't get a certificate, that distinction is clear. Watu watasema hao ni wale wamesoma. So Your Excellency, it gives me great pleasure to call our Honorable Governor, Her Excellency Kawera, to come and invite you, Your Excellency, to give her remarks, and we have the way ahead. Thank you and God bless you.
Your Excellency, allow me to say kwa Kimeru, ibwega mono, ibwega sana, asanteni sana viongozi wote kwa kufika Meru. Nakumbuka mwalimu wangu wa dini Park University aliniambia, leadership is about others, is all about others. Akaniambia, Kawera, ukichunga kondoo, ukishunga kanisa vizuri, ukiwatengeneza vizuri, hawa ndio watakuback. Nimeona kiongozi ambaye anajua leadership is all about others, na si mwingine ni naibu wetu wa rais Rigi G. Asante sana. Umejitolea siku 3 kuwa pamoja nasi, we don't take it for granted. Tunaamini Mungu atakubariki pamoja na mheshimiwa rais wetu tunayependa sana. Asanteni kwa kututunukia baraka ya kuleta kongamano ama hii conference kwetu Meru County. God bless you mightily. Nataka kusema hivi nikimaliza ndio nikualike naibu wa rais ya kwamba tunawakaribisha tena na tena. Tunapeana in advance shukran, tukisema ya kwamba tunajua mtatutengenezea ingine ya maziwa, ingine kama hii ya miraa, ingine kama hii ya viazi, ingine kama hii ya majani, ingine kama hii ya makadania, ingine kama hii ya ng'ombe. Kwa hivyo tunajua, kwa sababu umeona ukarimu wetu. Sisi wa Meru ni wakarimu sana. Sijui kama kuna kaunti nyingine mumeenda mkute watu wamekula wameshipa kabisa kama hapa Meru. Sijui kama kuna kaunti nyingine mumeenda mkakuta warembo wasichana warembo kama Meru County. Sijui kama kuna kaunti nyingine mumewahi tembea mkute kaunti safi, very clean. Ukipita kila mahali unakuta hiyo kaunti ni very clean. Ni Meru peke yake utakuta viongozi ambao ni bold, courageous and very ready to make hard decisions. Hapa ni Meru. Kwa hivyo karibuni sana na sana naibu wa rais. Nikimaliza nataka kusema hivi kama vile mwalimu wangu wa dini aliniambia, leadership is about others. Ukifanya vyema kama kiongozi, ukifanya kazi yako vizuri, people own you as their project. Na watu wakioni project yao, wanatetea project yao, wanabariki project yao. Kwa hivyo mkienda nyumbani, endeni na jambo moja ya kwamba when you do good in leadership, when you do what is right in leadership, people will own you, they will take you as their project and they will be very ready to protect the project. Sisi Kenya kwanza imetuweka kwanza, imeweka Meru kwanza, and we want to own the entire government of our President William Ruto as our project. Tutetee project yetu, tutetee rais wetu, tutetee naibu wa rais, tutetee financial bill yetu ipite, because we own our project that is Kenya Kwanza government, kwa sababu imetuweka mbele. Imesema mkulima mbele, Meru mbele, Kenya mbele, Kenya Kwanza mbele, na sisi want to own the project. Nataka kusema hivi kwa wakulima wa kahawa ambao wamefika, asanteni sana. Go market the product, we will also do the same. Mtu akasema hivi, anything minus marketing. We want to market our coffee as we go back home. Anything minus marketing is like winking to a beautiful girl in darkness. God bless you. Asante, karibu sana naibu. Asante sana. Kwa hivyo nataka kuchukua hii nafasi nimkaribishe CS wetu Rentori, tunapofikiria ya kwamba if you wink to a beautiful girl in darkness, then hiyo mistari imeenda chini, imepotea. Kwa hivyo let us market our coffee tukienda kule, na hata sisi tutafanya hivyo. God bless you. Karibuni tena na tena, na tunawapenda sana kama Wameru, kama mama na kama mtumishi wa Mungu. God bless you mighty. Amen. Karibu sana wazee.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Deputy President, the team that sat here for the last 3 days to deliberate and discuss on this very important subject in this country, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for your patience, for your participation, and for finding that it's very necessary for you to spare time, brainstorm, and come up with the recommendations that have been made to this conference that will go a long way in trying to address this important sector of our economy. I've heard you, I've sat patiently, and I want to say that whatever is required to be done by the Ministry of Agriculture, the issues to do with the increasing production and productivity, Your Excellency will not tire to go the extra mile to burn that midnight oil to ensure that we increase production in coffee. I want to commit that once we've done our bit, we'll work very closely with the various agencies of other agencies of government and ministries, like the Trade and Industry Ministry, to ensure that the necessary support that will be required by us for them to be able to value hand and create more value of this coffee, will be willing day and night to give support. I am happy that our members of parliament that are with us here today have made commitments to work and to ensure the necessary legislative proposals that come out of this conference will be addressed with speed, so that we have the legal strength to deal with the cartels that were mentioned here, to deal with the other administrative challenges that we may have in the administration and in the marketing of our coffee for the good and the benefit of our farmers. So let me assure you, Your Excellency, that your time, your intervention, your commitment towards addressing the problems or calling for this meeting here to come up with these proposals is not in vain. The Bishop has sent leadership is about the others. And just like you said yesterday, I am happy, I'm proud as a Kenyan to be with this team now to come up with a resolution that will be made today that goes towards dealing with this difficult, challenging situation of reviving our coffee sector here from Meru. So nataka kusema asante sana. I am willing and ready to work with everyone to ensure the fame, the dignity of this crop is brought to where it used to be in those years of 60s and 70s. And I believe that coffee, from the experience that we've just found from Mr. Murimi's farm, is a clear testimony that if we were to do something little, we won't be able to make enough money, to put money in the pockets of men and women in this country, be able to raise more revenue, and be able even to retire our debt, because there will be enough money into our pockets. We'll have been able to broaden our foreign exchange basket through this important crop. So, Your Excellency, it is my great honor and privilege to kindly ask you to come and do your closing remarks. Tukaribisha naibu wa rais 1 2 utupea mawida wako wa mwisho wa kufunga. Asante.
Asante waziri wetu, please be seated. I want to take this opportunity to say how happy and pleased I am that we have come to the conclusion of a very successful Coffee Stakeholders Conference that started on Thursday in earnest. And I want to thank our cabinet secretaries who are here, our governors who found time to come, our principal secretaries, our senators, our members of the National Assembly, our professionals from the academia world, our distinguished farmers, and for the state, the journalists who have kept Kenyans informed of what is going on here. I want to, with a lot of humility, say thank you to all of you. When I stepped out, President William Ruto called me to ask me to pass his very warm regards to you. He has told me that he has followed the deliberations in this conference, and he is very pleased that we are moving in the right direction. And he has told me to tell you that whatever recommendations we come with from where he sits, they will be implemented quickly, efficiently, and to the letter. I want to request the Secretariat to put those presentations together of what has been recommended. On getting back to Nairobi, maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, we get a small team from the 3 ministries, from the COG, from the farmers, from the academia, a small team, so that they can go through them and separate them. Come up with what requires legislation and put it aside. Come up with what requires policy change so that myself and the 3 CSS can take it to the cabinet, and also separate what requires administrative action so that the 3 ministers can take it to the next level. The ones that requires legislation, We'll convene again a separate meeting for senators and members of the National Assembly from the coffee growing zones, and we will put those proposals together with the Tea Bill 2023 and the Cooperative Act, so that we work together to come up with the various amendments that are required to take place. Thereafter, we'll get drafters to assist in enhancing the document. And the president had said after that he'll convene the ruling party's coalition parliamentary group to whip our members to fast track and expedite the enactment of the various legislative proposals that you come up with. We want to give ourselves a target of not more than 90 days to be able to put the necessary legislation into place. I want to assure the coffee farmers that this conference was not a talk shop. I've heard the cartels who are saying that we are just talking. There have been so much talk in the past, and this talk is just talk. Your fees are away. I want to assure them that this is a very serious forum with a commitment at the highest level of government that this coffee subsector must be sorted to the benefit of the coffee farmer. It is urgent, and it must be concluded before the end of the year. So I know the cartels will be ready, even though I were around last night, looking for members of the National Assembly, looking for the senators, looking for the stakeholders. I want to tell them it's okay, there's no problem. I think we have very serious leadership from the coffee growing counties, and the caliber of leaders that were elected by the people are beyond being compromised. Even if they spend money, please eat that money, because it has no receipt and there is no mechanism for return. So I want to tell them, even if they spend how much, even if they do what has never been done, the reforms in the coffee subsector are unstoppable. And this sector must be sorted out, and the coffee farmer must prevail. The coffee farmer must get value for his sweat that is commensurate. And we must, as a government, as leaders, connect the farmer with the consumer directly and do away with the entire chain of middlemen and brokers, because they are not necessary. You know, so let's get the secretariat to put that together, and then we get working. So I just wanted to thank you very much for your time, for your commitment, for your thoughts, for your contribution. We are very informed. I have left here a more informed person. I have sat here throughout the 2 days because of the importance of this matter. And that is what the cartels should know. We are not sitting here because we have no work to do. We are sitting here because this matter is very important to us as a country, as a people, as farmers. And if they have any brains, they should know that we are committed. I want to extend to them again an olive branch. There is still room, although they did not come. In the intervening period, should they decide to double what they are paying, we can consider. We have no problem. But it must be sustainable. Therefore, I want to urge you as you go home, pass our greetings, those who left at home. Hang around, there is no hurry. We have paid the hotels tonight, so there is no need for you to travel at night. The governor has invited you to some for the best of Meru in terms of food. and sauna and steam, and generally get to know the town. So we are also around, we are going nowhere. I'm around myself until Monday, I'm not in a hurry. Therefore, we ask you just to hang around and interact, get to know each other, take photographs, and celebrate for the good job that we have done. And I want to say, well done. This is a good job. And it's our responsibility to translate it into action. Hatuwezi angusha nyinyi. Hii kazi yote mmefanya ni ya maana sana. Sasa wabunge hawa, tuko na hawa. Na tutakubaliana. Now they are good. They are good. The cartels don't waste time with our members of the National Assembly and the Senate. Lakini kama mko na kitu ya kupatia wakule, walitoka uchaguzi juzi, there is no problem. But I know these people cannot change their minds and their hearts. If these leaders could not be compromised by the Azimio money, I don't think the cartels can move them. Because there was money. Millions who are being offered with these leaders. And we say, no, we'll stick to what we believe in and what is right. Therefore, I want to assure the coffee farmers, I had a mkulima here saying these cartels are very bad. Don't worry. Hata sisi wachache, tutaonana na hawa tu, because we have to do the right thing. During the sessions you had, we went to that good farmer called Mutwiri, and we were puzzled by what he has done. The coffee branches are almost breaking because of the weight of the berries. And every branch is full of berries. And he has shown us his own variety that he has developed, that he is targeting 100 kilos per bush. No, I can tell you, this coffee story is a good story. Let us just fix this cartel nonsense and we are back on track. That farmer has never worked for anybody. He has never done any business. Using the proceeds from one season, we have visited his mansion, a neutral modern mansion, tastefully furnished and finished. Hiyo mzee anaishi huko kwa orofa akiangalia kahawa. I look forward one day in another 2 years, as I travel in the coffee growing counties, to find almost every other home like the one we have seen. Many mansions wazee wanaishi huko na wamama na watoto. We went there, a few people he has trained, a graduate. He has told us he doesn't want a job. I was offering him a job to see whether he'll accept. He said, no, wacha mimi nikae kwa kahawa. We have found the son of that old mzee. He has said his second year, akimaliza hataki kuandikwa, anaingia kwa kahawa. Because ameona ile pesa baba yake anaunda. I'm telling you, you are amazed. A beautiful mansion put up with 1 year's crop. Ile wabunge mnakopa mortgage ya miaka ngapi? 5. So mimi nataka pia kuuliza viongozi, na tumeanza na Linturi, hata sisi tupande kahawa. How shall we lead our people to increase production when tumekuwa sisi ni mehoni ya kukaa town? Let us lead by example. Mimi mwenyewe I have some 5 acres somewhere that is fallow. Tumekubaliana na huyo mzee atakuja aniletee hiyo variety, anipandie, anichungie, na bibi yake nimemuomba ruhusa ya wiki moja. Hiyo mzee amesema aenda naye miezi 3. So mimi niko sorted. Other than all these recommendations, I have left here with a benefit that my 5-acre parcel of land will be sorted out by that mzee. And I've told him, and ameniambia akinipandia kahawa nisipopata shilingi milioni 5 kila season, kwa sababu mimi naibu ya rais atanitumane ashikwe. He is so confident. I've never seen such confidence from a farmer. We are so encouraged. That visit has been the most beautiful story of this conference, because we have seen with our own eyes. Huyo mzee hajasoma, lakini kwa sababu ya kupata pesa ameanza kuongea Kiingereza. No, money is good. Money ni mvuja mlima. Inapindua watu. Hata hiyo mzee alikuwa hajasoma sana, anaongea Kiingereza kwa sababu wako na nini? Pesa. So this coffee thing, we are going to sort it out. We are going to increase production. We are going to earn foreign exchange for the country. We are going to sort out the economy of this country and restore it to where Mzee Mwai Kibaki left us. That will be done. So I ask for cooperation kwa wabunge and senators. Kibarua ile kubwa iko kwenu. So please, mkae gagari, don't waver. Don't waver. This battle will be hard. Once we do reforms in the Cooperative Act, wale ma-chairmen na ma-secretary who are controlled by these cartels watatulima. Na watatulima kama mwaka moja. Alafu tutawashinda. So you must be prepared. Hiyo watu watatulima. That is the truth. They will be funded. Wataanza propaganda kutulima kwa ground. Na watatulima only 1 year. Once we sort it out and the farmers get coffee, mambo yao itazama. So don't worry. Let us take hard decisions for the benefit of our farmers, for the benefit of this country, and also for our own legacy and posterity. I think it is these leaders, this generation of leaders, that will enter the books of history, that were courageous enough to take the bull by the horns to restore the dignity of the Kenyan farmer by putting earnings into his pocket and uplifting his or her standard of living. So mimi, I'm a happy man. Kama ni ile zamani nilikuwa nakunywa pombe, ningekunywa chupa mbili, lakini sasa sikunywa. So sasa ni kufurahi tu na kukaa hapa Meru, tukunywe supu, tukae, tupige story, na tumefurahi sana. I think it is good. So Bwana Mudhomi Njoki, Monday tuko kwako for another different story. Sasa tuanzane na mambo ya pombe, because hii kahawa tukitengeneza, we must prepare the people who will come to do the work. We must prepare the young people. As we sort out the coffee reforms, the tea reforms, and we get everybody working, our young people, the way mumesema hapa, we get them into farming. Hatuwezi leta hao kwa ukulima wakiwa wamelala kwa mitaro ama wakilala chini ya vitanda. Sasa lazima mtukubalie, we sort out this drug and substance abuse and put our young men and women back on track in readiness with increased production of coffee and tea and milk. With the advent of construction of houses, we must prepare our young people so that we have got a good and productive workforce. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka niseme asante, asante, asante. Mungu awabariki. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.